Are you an entrepreneur looking for more free time, more money, or just looking for that success blueprint? The Proven Entrepreneur is the podcast for you. Host Don Williams and his guests share real success stories from proven entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Don Williams.
Hey, Don Williams here with today's episode of the Proven Entrepreneur Show. Man, do we have a great guest today. All the way from the Czech Republic, we have Vash Tomanec. Now, Vash, though he's very young, he's high mileage. He has accomplished a lot. Vash is a 25-year-old serial entrepreneur. His newest venture is Mindtrepreneur. Okay. He recently, and we'll talk about this in the show, he spent 7 days in total darkness with no food in the interest of exploring his mind and meditation. Okay. And so very interested to talk about that. And another huge milestone is Vash was awarded the 2 Comma Club with Russell Brunson, which that's a pretty exclusive group who've done that. Welcome to the show, Vash.
Thank you so much, Don, for having me.
Man, thrilled to have you. What an honor. Thank you so much. So let me take you all the way back to little Vash. Okay. So 5 to 15 years old in your home. Okay. The home you were raised in for the most part. Was there an adult who set an entrepreneurial example for you? Was there someone you looked up to that was entrepreneurial, that planted the seed of entrepreneurship in your brain?
So it was definitely nobody from my family, because always my parents are, where did this come from? Because my whole family, nobody has been entrepreneur. But when the idea was sparked, Don, was through a book, The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I believe a lot of listeners might heard of that from Robert Kiyosaki. And that book opened my mind to what is possible, because I was going through the predictable journey of primary, secondary school, university, getting a job. I just knew I will have a good job, but the idea of being an entrepreneur never came to me because I had nobody who's an entrepreneur around me. And the book just showed me new kind of reality that is possible. And that's when I decided I want to be an entrepreneur. So it was age 18, I believe.
That's awesome. I don't know how many entrepreneurs Robert Kiyosaki has inspired, but a lot. I can remember reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad as a young man and was enthralled by the parallels between the two dads. And I think one day maybe I'm going to write the book, The Accidental Entrepreneur, because so many of us, we didn't really design it. We didn't engineer it. We weren't built for it. But one day, I know in my own life, one day I said, I can't follow this person anymore, and I don't know who to follow. And so I'm going to lead. And that meant I'm going to have to start my own company because I can't find anybody to follow. And so I'm certainly the accidental entrepreneur. Okay. So tell me, we're still back with young Vash. Okay. So what was your first job? And it may have not been a job. It may have been entrepreneurship. Okay. But what was the first activity you did where you actually earned some do-re-mi, where you actually made some money?
Yes. So that was picking up potatoes in the Czech Republic when I was 16. That's when I earned, in a way, or learned the lesson about hard work, and that hard work is not always the thing that is rewarded, because I was working hard, long hours in sweating, sun, all of these things. And I was making back then probably $2 an hour. So I put so much effort in, and I was so little rewarded. And there was a big lesson looking back at it, that it's not always about working hard. It's also choosing the things to work hard on that will actually have some payoff associated with it.
I love that. Yeah. Working smart and then working hard on what you're working smart. That really works. I think of my first job. I was driving a tractor at wheat harvest, which is a really tough job in Canada. It's very hot. It's very dusty. It's very dirty, long days. But the first day I knocked down about 15 fence posts. I took a corner a little too close and they just dropped like this. And so literally the first 2 days, all I did was dig fence post holes and set fence posts and drop the tamp rod. And that's the hardest work I've ever done in my life. And that pays dirt. that pays nothing. Okay. And so great wisdom there. So tell us now, 25, you started your first entrepreneurial journey at 18.
That was kind of the idea when Robert Kiyosaki sparked the idea. But back then, Don, and I think that's a big lesson, I thought that to be an entrepreneur, you need to have this grandiose idea. I need to start next Tesla. I need to start next Apple, right? These big ideas that, of course, weren't, first of all, coming to me. And second, I didn't have even the capital to start them. So next few years, I was working part-time jobs. I went to university and I was like, one day I want to have my own business. Before I graduate, I want to have my own business. And just 3 short years ago, guys, I was still delivering food for Uber Eats last year at university. So every day I would jump on a bike, deliver food for Uber Eats. And that's when I got the idea to start a marketing agency. I was 3 months away from graduation and this popped to my mind. I'm studying marketing. A lot of businesses need help with that, especially online store. That's what I focus on. And that's when the idea came, and that was my first business.
Awesome. Do you still own that business today?
I still do. It's now automated in a way that it's run. I have a CEO there. I have multiple team members. So I do more the strategy high level. But it wasn't an easy journey, to be honest, because I knew I just worked my way through there because my English wasn't the best. It's not my first language. And I was cold calling people and I was getting no after no after no. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's difficult. But I realized, Don, that I need to commit. That commitment is such a huge part of success, I believe. And that day I made a commitment that for the next 90 days, every day I will send 10 personalized videos to potential customers. I would study sales for at least 2 hours because I wanted to be really good at sales because I knew if I get a meeting, I better close it. And lastly, that maybe we'll speak later on, I visualized the goal. So I set some financial goal I want to hit. And I would close my eyes every morning and visualize it for 15 minutes, that it's already done. I've already done it. And what happened next 63 days? Nothing. I sent 630 videos, 630 personalized videos. I got no meetings, no calls, no clients, no money. But I knew deep down, Don, that every video is making me better. Every minute I spend learning sales, I'm improving. I knew that every day I'm getting more and more conviction that it's going to work, that my day is coming. And there was almost this feeling that virtually everybody is going to give up now because they don't see the results, but not me. And what happened next is in the next 27 days, I got multiple clients that allow me to hit the financial goal I set for myself. So the moment I was graduating, I already had a, I would say to me, profitable, successful business.
So many great principles there. One, commit. Okay. I'm going to do my very best. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to work smart. I'm going to do it for this amount of time. And two, perseverance. Okay, it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work. 63 days in a row, it didn't work. Okay, you didn't quit. And I was in a group with Roland Frazier not too long ago, and he commented that, you got to kiss a lot of frogs in marketing. And you do have to kiss a lot of frogs to get to the princess. And so don't be discouraged. Just keep puckering up. Just keep kissing those frogs. There's a princess out there somewhere. And
definitely.
And so just sticking with it. And then I love on visualization. So several years ago, I met Vishen Lakhiani. You might know Vishen, Mind Valley. And man, there's so much to that. I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth in the United States. And 30 years ago, we had this great football team, the Dallas Cowboys, and Troy Aikman was the quarterback. And Troy talks even today about how much visualization meant to him. They knew the first 10 or 15 plays they were going to call in every game. And so he practiced those plays in his mind, executed them perfectly, because in our minds, it's the only place we can actually be perfect. Yes. And after his career, he went into the Hall of Fame and widely known as maybe the most accurate passer, in NFL history. So, okay, so let's talk about visualization.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so you have the mic. Tell us about it.
Yes, so I'm a big believer in a visualization because I see it as you just illustrated with the example. It's a shortcut. Let's give example. I truly believe that it's a fast track towards developing any habit or any performance. So let's just say you want to develop the habit of waking up on time and not hitting snooze button in the morning. Let's just say. So you can practice it Monday, Tuesday, up to Sunday. So 7 times a week, you can practice it. Or you can close your eyes. And when you truly close your eyes, your body and brain doesn't know the difference if you are visualizing it or if it's really happening. This is why I could tell a person, hey, I just received a call from your mother. She's in hospital. It's not real. I just made it up, but the person starts sweating. They start imagining it the worst. And as a result, their body reacts to it. They start sweating, their heart rates fasten. So the same applies here. I could close my eyes, hear the alarm call going on. I jump from bed, turn it off, and start my day. And in 10 minutes, I can replay it probably 20 times. I can play the same scene over and over again, and it will speed up the process. So the Joe next to me practice 7 times a week. I practice 140 times the same week. So I will develop the habit of waking up early much faster than him. And that's the first benefit, I believe, of visualization, which is speeding up the process. And second is, I believe visualization creates evidence. So we believe that our goal is possible. So to illustrate, when I started, I'm this Uber Eats delivery guy making probably less than $1,000 a month. And all of a sudden, I set a goal that in 90 days, I want to make $10,000 a month profit, which is, I've never earned that money before. I never had that sort of money even in my bank account. So I didn't believe it. And if I don't believe it can happen that quick, I wouldn't take much action towards it, because what's the point? I'm not going to achieve it anyway. But what I did, is I closed my eyes and I visualized that I woke up, I checked my Stripe account, and I see there $10,000. And I jumped from bed, started shouting. I ran to the living room and said, Mom, Dad, I did it. And we celebrated. And I would replay it over and over and over again. And then what happened? I started to believe it's possible because I had enough evidence that I've already done that. So I believe that visualization can help people create belief that something is possible. And that helped me achieve that goal in 90 days.
I love that. So just maybe 2 weeks ago, I'm at an event and they have a huge bonfire outside of the event. It's probably 5 feet by 5 feet by 5 feet. The wood is stacked. It is so hot, you cannot get within maybe 30 feet of the fire. It is so hot. And the reason they were doing that is they were burning that down to coals. And then they laid the coals out on the ground. And then we took off our shoes and socks. And my normal brain says, I can't do this. Okay. And they lay out 15 feet of coals, 1,200 degrees. Okay. They ask for somebody to go first. I'm a go first kind of guy. Okay.
Love it.
And they encourage us to visualize that the coals are actually ice cubes. Don't look at them. They're ice cubes, they're ice cubes, they're ice cubes. See them in your mind as they're ice cubes. Look straight ahead. When I say go, walk briskly. Now they tell you, hey, if you get in trouble, just step off the coals. Okay. But I walk briskly. It's warm. It's not, I don't get burned. I don't get blisters. My feet looked a little charred, a little ashy, I guess. Right. And all because in my mind, I saw it as not a great big deal. And so we had about 50 of us. And so when they were all done, I was like, well, I want to go again. Okay. And 2 times across the coals. And so much of it has to do with what you believe is possible. And, there was a book, man, it's an old book, probably in the 50s or 60s, written by a Dr. Maxwell Maltz. The psycho-cybernetics. Yes.
Love that book. Love that.
Love that book. And so one of the stories, and then I'm going to go back because I need to know more from you. But one of the stories was 2 basketball teams And one team was going to spend an hour a day shooting free throws. And one team was going to go, I think I have this right, but maybe not, lay under a shade tree and imagine shooting free throws. And at the end of the month or whatever the time frame was, the team that was actually in the gym shooting free throws, they went up, they improved 2% or whatever the number was. But the team that made every free throw, because in your mind you can be perfect, they went up like 4 times that amount. And great illustration of what's really possible in your mind. And I think, like you, that visualization, I'm not sure, I don't think your mind actually knows the difference between what you really experience and what you tell it you're experiencing.
Exactly. That's right. It doesn't know the difference.
It doesn't know the difference.
And it's such a great example. And I'm glad you did the firewalk. I did it a few years back with Tony Robbins. He did it. And again, it increased my belief what is possible. Because how many times I would touch, let's say, a hot oven, and I would immediately get a blister. But the hot coals is even much warmer than that. But I didn't have any blisters. It's because, as you did, you visualize, let's say, the ice cube. So I love that. I'm so happy you've done it.
Me too. And, I did a post on social media about it. And the questions were like, why? And did you lose your mind? And are you trying to be macho? And do you think you're Superman? I was like, no, really, for me, humans, me too, I'm human. We have self-limiting beliefs. We have beliefs that aren't true, but because we believe them, it limits what we can achieve and perform. And so I looked at the firewalk as a self-limiting belief, knowing that Tony Robbins has walked 100,000 people. Okay. A lot of people have done it. And so they laid out 2 strips. One side, they said, now this side is spicier, which was, they would never say hot. Okay. Or, they would never use any of those words because those plant certain images. Said this side's spicier. And I'm like, oh, I want the spicy side. And,
nice.
And so much fun. Okay. I'm dying to ask. 7 days in the dark. No food?
No food, just water.
Okay, so 168 hours, 86,400 seconds times 7. Tell us what your motivation was, why you did it, how it went, what you learned. Tell us everything, Vash.
Yeah, let's go straight into it. So to kind of trace it back so you can guys understand my why is I started a coaching company called Mindtrepreneur, where now we help over 1,000 entrepreneurs from 35 countries basically achieve their goals faster by what we call mastering their mindset. So overcoming their limiting beliefs, their fears, if they killing procrastination, all of these things that slow usually people down from actually growing their business. Or as you also mentioned, the self-image, for example. And I'm a big believer of visualization, meditation, spending time with yourself. That's where the greatest ideas come. And I always don't want to walk the path. In a way, if I tell people to meditate for 15 minutes, I will meditate in 1 hour to walk the path, to show them kind of that I'm the guy, that I can do it and I can guide them thoroughly. And the same happened here. I was talking to people that once a month or at least once a quarter, they should take 3 days off, no electronics, maybe book a nice cottage or cabin somewhere in nature. And they should spend 3 days just thinking where they are going, how they want to get there, why they want to achieve it. These things, because in silence, without electronics, without devices, without being distracted, we have the best ideas. And so almost I wanted to take it to the next level. Almost I wanted to, again, go deeper so I can show people the way. And so that was the motivation. It's just 7 days, go in complete darkness. And second motivation is I run 3 businesses. So I haven't gone offline for more than probably 40 hours. So I'm always online, always checking if my team is okay or if there's no fires. But having 7 days no phone, not knowing what is happening with the businesses, I was like, wow, that's a big challenge. And anytime I feel this fear, but at the same time, a little excitement, I know I need to say yes. It's almost like I say that the higher self is shouting, do it. And the limit itself is almost like, no, this is dangerous. So I said just, yes, I'm going to do it. And I was like, let me remove all pleasures that can be there. So there won't be any electronics. I won't see anything. I won't hear anything. So let me take the last thing, which is I won't taste anything. So I said, let me prove to myself I can do it on water only. And it was such a deep experience because first of all, I realized I've never spent so much time with myself, meaning that I'm always like on my phone, on my computer, jumping from LinkedIn to email to Slack to Instagram to Twitter, just all over the place. But here I have the time to think and really think about what I want from life. Because sometimes we set these goals, but they are no longer relevant, or somebody else set these goals even for us. And I had really time to think like, what do I want to create in this life? What impact do I want to have? What do I want to create? What do I want to experience? And there I realized on this big thing. On paper, I live incredible life last year. I traveled, I think, 15 countries. I took multiple amazing vacations. I met amazing people. I helped incredible people. But at the same time, I didn't fully experience. So I might having amazing vacation, but I'm thinking about work. At work, I'm thinking about the vacation, So I'm always thinking about what's next, what's on my to-do list. And as a result, I wasn't present. And in the darkness, I realized that the power of being in this moment, being here with you, not thinking about what I need to do after this podcast. So that was few of these biggest lessons, I would say.
I love that. So many things in there. So wise for so young, Vash. Okay. So one, I'm a big believer that our creative mind is actually of the most value, the logical mind, the mind that goes to university and learns things. And that's all good. And in society, we place a lot of value on that. But the genius doesn't happen there. The genius happens from our creative mind, and which is why so many genius artists, and I use the term artist, but that, Steve Jobs was a genius artist. He didn't paint, he didn't sculpt, he didn't write music. Okay. He had a vision for this unbelievable technology company, and he built this mammoth company. And it wasn't because of what he learned in university.
Can I jump in?
Yes, please.
Because this is amazing, because I wanted to mention it as well. So exactly as you said, logical mind, creative mind. So in the darkness, Don, what happened? The ideas that were coming to me were not like these 10% improvement ideas. Like, do this, hire this person, or fire this person. Not these marginal improvements. They are usually logical. It was like, message this person. I was like, whoa, I never thought about it. Or start this product, or reach to this person. And I was like, wow, I never thought about it. And the moment I applied it, once I came back, I was like, man, this shifted totally my life. Yeah. And I started to research inventors, people who invent things. They rarely invent something by having whiteboard and calculating stuff. It's usually they are overlooking ocean, and it's like a download. It just comes, and all of a sudden they got the idea. And then they need to justify logically what happened there. But that's what I realized is when we enter silence or just being without distractions, it's almost like the creative mind can connect almost like to a Wi-Fi signal. And that's when big ideas start coming to us. So I'm so happy you mentioned that.
I love that. So in the Christian faith, and probably in the other major religions, but in the Christian faith, one of the tenets is be still and know that I am God. Okay. And I'm sure the other major religions have something very similar to that, but there is real power in getting quiet and shutting out the noise. And man, we live in a noisy world. Oh my gosh. And many times it involves nature. So go to the beach, get on top of the mountain, get away, refresh. Recreation is the root word of recreation is recreate, which if you emphasize it differently, it's recreate. Okay. And so many times entrepreneurs, salespeople, business people, they they get it in their head. I got to work harder. I got to work faster. I got to get more done. Okay. Chop that log, milk that cow, do whatever. Boom, 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 boom. When really the magic might happen if you tone it down, you get quiet, you go to the cottage in the woods or to the top of the mountain or to the beach or in your backyard or to the city park and get real quiet and let your creative mind talk. Here in the state, worldwide, about 10 years ago, the mammoths of technology, Google, Facebook, Instagram, Apple, the mammoths of technology had a little shift. I say little shift. They had a huge shift. They said, it no longer requires a bachelor's, master's, or PhD to come to work here. Because what we found is these geniuses that are self-taught, okay? Or maybe they just intuited it. We don't know, but we don't really care. That's where the real great stuff is coming. And it sounds a little silly, but when you look at the founders of those companies, many of them did not complete university.
Yes.
The two guys at Google dropped out of Stanford, said it's too expensive for us to stay. Okay. And so I just want to encourage all our listeners, don't have self-limiting beliefs because you think you don't know enough. You haven't gone far enough. Couldn't be further from the truth. Okay. And we're all one idea, one phone call, one client, one event away from huge success. You went 63 days. No, nothing. Zilch, zilch, nada. And on the 68th day, something happened. Okay.
Exactly.
Made all the difference.
And that's a big point because, as you said, in business, people tend to feel behind. So they start compensating by, okay, I just put longer hours. I was working 12, I will do 16, but it's almost like the whole time they could be working so hard on strategy A that is not working. They could took step back, took 1 day off, 2 days off, and realize that there is actually strategy B that would get them 10x results by working 6 hours a day. And that's the power of taking a step back. But in this hectic society, in this hectic environment, people almost feel they can't stop. They can't take time off. But for me, working smart means slowing down, looking at the bigger picture, and letting those new ideas come in so we can execute on them. Because I know a lot of people who work extremely hard and sometimes they don't even get the results.
With many of my clients, it's eliminating the clutter. It's all the extraneous activity. And truthfully, I believe you should only work in areas where you can be magnificent. If you're very, very good at something, but somebody in your company is almost as good at something, oh my gosh, give it to them.
Yes.
Let it go. Okay. Only work. So I think you have zones of incompetence, competence, excellence, and magnificence. And to me, that zone of excellence is a temptress. I do all these things really well, and so I like to play there. But here's how you know. It's in your zone of excellence if it's safe. If you know you can do it, it's not your zone of magnificence. Your zone of magnificence, you could fail, okay? It's out of your comfort zone, but that's where your best work happens, okay? It doesn't happen in that safe area where you're very, very good. I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to think about a hard lesson. So something that occurred, that when it occurred, you're like, ouch, that hurts a lot. But maybe now, looking back, having a little distance, you're like, yeah, maybe it was the best thing that happened to me. Okay. Or it wasn't as bad as I thought. But at the time, it was really heavy. Do you have a hard lesson you can share with us, Vash?
Yes, I definitely have. And I like, as you said, that you can't connect dots looking forward, right? You can always look back and realize, oh, actually, it was the greatest thing that happened to me. But almost the biggest, I would say, a lie, I now call it a lie, was once you achieve the external things, you will start feeling differently inside. And I realized that's the biggest lie, that I thought, man, I don't feel good enough. I felt a lot of insecurity, a lot of fears. But once I make the first money from my business, all will be good. Once I get the car, once I get the house, all will be good. But I realized that the feeling didn't go away. Then I set a bigger goals, achieved them. The feeling didn't go away. And that's why we know a lot of celebrities who are depressed, have anxiety. who have everything externally, but almost something is missing internally. And I coach now loads of people who are even on Forbes list in the Czech Republic, and they come to me as Vash, I have everything externally, but there's so much emptiness inside. And that was probably the biggest light on when I put my goal on pedestal, almost like once I achieve that, everything will fall in place. And that wasn't the case. So I tell people is that it's important to first change the inside, that nothing externally will change that feeling. We need to change that.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Okay. So what about so many nuggets? What's a high value nugget you haven't shared with us yet?
There's loads of them. Let me choose the best one. Yes. So this is a very cool thing I discovered a few years back, basically when I started this. I call it the hockey stick effect. And I believe that will help a lot of people. So I realized that a lot of people think that progress happens linearly. So let's say I set in 90 days, I want to hit 10K. So how the human works is in 30 days, I should be around the 3K. In 60 days, I should be at 6K. Around day 90, I should hit it. And so what happens is never happens like that. It's even with getting in shape, people think, okay, next month I will lose 2 kilos or 2 pounds, whatever it is, right? Linearly. But what happens? You go to gym for a month and you see barely any results. I sent personalized videos for 60 days and I saw 0 results. But I tell people that progress happens exponentially. And I love, if the listeners are truly interested, you can type in Google Tesla's revenue, Apple's revenue, or Warren Buffett net worth, and you will see it's the same line. It's go like a hockey stick. So not much, and then boom. For me, 0, 0, 0, 0, boom, 10K, right? Even getting in a shape. Somebody goes 3 months, not much results, and then you met him and he said, whoa, what happened to you? And it happens almost overnight. Yeah. And so to activate this hockey stick effect, or to truly experience that, I believe in the power of consistency. You can't go to gym once and be fit for life. You can't learn sales for an hour and expect to be great at sales. It's being consciously repeating it every single day. And I tell people it's better to be consistent than being intense. Rather than doing something for a week intensely, let's do it for 3 months, a little bit less, but consistently every day. Because intensity makes a good story, but consistency makes progress.
I love that. Love that. Okay. This is the hardest question I ask. Mm-hmm. It'll take you back to your 18-year-old self. You get like 60 seconds to share 1 or 2 thoughts with your 18-year-old self that you know now, but you didn't know then, and it would have really helped you had you known that, okay? And it's not that far for you. When I get somebody who's 50, they're like, oh man, I wish I knew this and that and this and that, okay? But if I take you back to before you took your first step on your entrepreneurial journey, and you had just like 60 seconds, so it would be the most important thing you could tell yourself, what would that be?
First, Vash, your past doesn't dictate your future. You know, because you failed at something in the past, it doesn't mean you will fail at it in the future. Second, stop being on the bench. Get in the game. Start playing. Start taking action. Start taking risk. You have nothing to lose, would be second advice. Another advice I would give myself is, Vash, you deserve the best. If society, parents, friend tells you you're not good enough, it's not true. You deserve the best, and you can have anything you set your mind to. And number four would be really thinking about it, would be, Vash, first sit down and ask yourself what you want. Because until you know what you want, you can't achieve it. So really dedicate a few days thinking what you truly want, and then craft a specific plan of action and execute daily. And Vash, don't forget to enjoy the journey, because life is a journey.
Love that. Okay, we got nowhere to go from there. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your time on the Proven Entrepreneur.
No, thank you so much for this amazing podcast you've created. I know you're doing an incredible job. I read all the reviews almost, and there are thousands now, 2,500. So I just wanted you to congratulate you and also just thank you for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you very much. And I assure you, it's all due to my wonderful guests like you. And that's today's episode of the Proven Entrepreneur Show. See you next time. Bye.
That's today's episode of The Proven Entrepreneur. Go to provenentrepreneurshow.com, subscribe to the show, leave an iTunes review, and you could win a $25,000 VIP day in Dallas with Don himself. And get Don's easier and faster selling with video course free. Please join Don on the next episode of The Proven Entrepreneur.